as we say good morning to you on Get Up Here. I'm Ryan Smith in for Greeny. I love it when we have a packed house, and look who we got here. Pelican star C.J. McCollum in the house on the show for the first time. So great to have you, my friend. And here with J.J. Redick as well. Dan Graziano here to tackle all the mandatory camps. Getting ready to open it across the NFL. Teddy Bruschi's going to join him in a little bit. But first, let's get to the game of the night. NBA Finals. Game 2, Celtics, Warriors. Everybody getting ready for this one. There's JT walking into the arena and Steph Curry ready to take him on. Late first quarter, Tatum, the 3 over Curry. And Tatum had 21 first half points. But in the final seconds of the quarter, the chef going to work, driving inside, scoring. Golden State up 1 after the first quarter. Second quarter, Warriors down 3. Tatum throws it right to Curry. They go the other way, and Steph does what he does best, a little step back, make it happen. Celtics 11 first half turnovers. We're tied at 40 at that point. Final minutes of the half, check this out. Jaylen Brown, Draymond Green kind of get mixed up there on a foul call. They got to be separated. Green already had a tech at this point, but it's only a common shooting foul. The Warriors will be up 2 at the break. Third quarter, Warriors up 5, and Curry working on Horford, drills it. Warriors up 8. They started to blow it open at this point. Under 3 minutes to play in the quarter, Curry for 3. 14-point game. They're pulling away. Next possession, Curry way downtown 3. Game high 29 for him, 17-point game, and then Jordan Poole with the nail in the coffin just inside half court. Gonna throw it up, good! Drills it almost from, 39 feet out, near half court, chase center into a frenzy. Curry loving it, and the Warriors with a blowout over the Celtics in game 2, 107-88. Big win for them, and Draymond explaining afterwards the power of that man.
Our offense is always a lot of Steph. It all starts with Steph. Whether, when KD was here, our offense still started with Steph. And, that's the way it's going to be.
Steph is only the 5th player over the last 25 years to score twice as many points as the next closest teammate through the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. The other players are LeBron, AI, Shaq, and Tim Duncan. Talk about exclusive company and talk about being in good company with these 2 guys, CJ, JJ, both with us. And JJ, is Steph Curry starting to take over this series right now?
Well, I think Steph's being Steph, and what Steph does is he puts constant pressure on your defense, whether that's in pick and rolls, off of switches with dribble penetration, off of all of his ball movement. And as you saw earlier in that clip in the first half, in transition, they've had a problem finding him and picking him up early enough, and he's knocking down those threes. Look, I say this all the time. We collectively, we live in a heliocentric solar system. The Warriors live in a Steph Curry
The big words, I love
system.
it.
Like everything orbits around Steph. Draymond is spot on his comments there.
Yeah, CJ, what are you seeing out of Steph?
I think he's being his typical self. He's scoring in transition. He's getting offensive rebound, kick out threes. He's able to manipulate pick and rolls. I don't know why they're sitting in the drop right here, as you can see right here. Getting to the basket. He's doing all the things that we're accustomed to seeing him do. That's why he's a 2-time MVP. But I think this series will be won by the role players specifically.
Okay.
The Klay Thompsons of the world, the Draymond Greens of the world, and the bench.
Talk about Klay, though. What are you seeing out of Klay? I mean, he went, 4 for 17, 4 for 19 last night. Not a good game at all. 11 points. What did you see out of Klay, and are you concerned?
He seems a little anxious, right? Coming off an injury, he was out about 1,000 days, call it 1,000 days, where he was rehabbing 2 very tough injuries to recover from. He gets to play 15 to 20 games before the playoff starts. And I think it's coming down to the Celtics defense. They're running him off the line. They're making him play in the yard, so to speak, having to shoot contested 2s. And then when he finally gets an open 3, I feel like he's rushing it because of the way the game has been flowing. But all in all, I think he'll settle in and become more his normal self. I think you'll see Game 6 Klay sooner than later. And if you don't, the Warriors could be in trouble.
Game 6 Klay now becoming a thing. So you think they might have trouble winning this series if he plays like he did in Game 2?
If he plays like he did in Game 2, they have no chance of winning this series, to be honest with you. I have the Celtics winning this series more so because of the way they've been playing, the way they've been defending, and how easy the game has been for the Celtics offensively. Well, besides last night.
Yeah, besides last night. JJ, what do you think when you look at Klay, when you look at his game right now and what's happening with this team, how integral he is to this team?
Oh, he's very integral. By the way, CJ, just so you know, you're going to be called a Warriors hater for the rest of the time. Just so you know,
get ready.
Just get ready for that.
I like
you're a Warriors hater, you're a Steph hater. No, Klay's really important, and I think CJ nailed it. Look, when we talk about all the great Warriors teams, How did they separate themselves the further along they go in the playoffs? It's the role players. It's guys having big nights. You go back to, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Harrison Barnes. Like, they need their role players to step up. I thought Jordan Poole had a great bounce-back game after a rough game one. You brought up something we need to talk about. And that is the Celtics being in drop coverage against Steph Curry. And
what is that? Explain what that means.
Drop coverage just basically means it's a 2v2 pick and roll. The big guy, the guy guarding the screener, is all the way back. Now, some of that you want to chase over the top. You want to funnel them down. The Warriors are smart. They're changing their screening angles. They're bringing the screen higher up, which forces the big to move higher up. Now, all of a sudden, Steph is playing in space. And look, you saw earlier with Al Horford when he got him dancing, he can exploit switches, but there's got to be more pressure at the point of the screen. Right now, he's just too comfortable. You go back to game one, 1.9 points per possession in drops against Steph Curry through 3 quarters. They mixed it up a little bit in the fourth. And last night when he got going in the third quarter, you saw Tice all the way back. They've got to put some pressure on him with that second defender.
Okay, so interesting point there. Now, you said something really interesting. What we do is we talk about a lot of these topics before the show. And you said something really interesting in your notes about the Warriors being the best third quarter team in the NBA. Tell me what you mean by that, and why is that so important when you're playing against the Warriors? Because they blew this game wide open in the third.
I think historically, we lost to them 5 years in a row, right? Second half is when they kind of turn on the switch. They have the maturity, they have the understanding of the moment, they have the ability to adapt on the fly. And I think Kerr doesn't get enough credit for his X's and O's. He changes the game, whether that's zone defenses out of ATOs or whether that's continuing to figure out ways to exploit mismatches. And I think historically, they understood what was at stake here. They go down 0-2 at home, series is over. They turn the switch on, similar to how they did in the first game, in game one. The difference was that they sustained it throughout the fourth quarter, and Boston kind of let go of the rope, understanding that they had 2 games at home.
Okay, letting go of the rope, I think, is really important when you talk about Boston, because the other question that's going to come up today when you talk about Boston are going to be the superstars, right? It's not as if Jason Tatum had a terrible game, 28 points, 8 of 19 shooting. But the plus minus, he was minus 36 on the game. Jaylen Brown, 5 for 17, had a terrible second half. What is going on with Boston's superstars?
Well, some of this is the Warriors' defense. I thought their scrambling defense was great. They were in help positions throughout the game. When Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown would get dribble penetration and try to make passes, they were rotating out of that, creating steals. Steph had 3 of them. Shot selection is a little bit of this. There's far too much one-on-one. If you go back to game one, specifically in that fourth quarter, the ball movement side to side, dribble penetration, on time, on target passes, they were getting all that. They weren't getting any of that last night. The Celtics shot 6 for 37 off the dribble. Think about that. That's 16. That's terrible, terrible offense. And against a great Warriors defense, that's not sustainable.
And you've talked over and over again about the turnovers. We were just seeing them there. You see the numbers right here. And CJ, the other part of this is, look, Tatum again, 28 points. But one thing I find interesting about him is I feel like these playoffs have been his arrival to superstardom. Everybody talks about him. This could be one of the top 5 players in the game. But it kind of seems like in many ways he can't be that superstar for 4 quarters, that takeover guy. What are you seeing out of Tatum? And are you seeing this kind of limitation?
I don't think it's limitation. I think it's the Warriors' defense, and I also think it's him adjusting to the attention that he's getting now. First team All-NBA, averages 27 points per game. Our expectation of him is higher than it was ever before. And I think
too high, perhaps?
Not too high.
Okay.
I mean, he had an off night and he had 28. We're talking about, a guy who just had 13 assists in game one. He's evolved as a playmaker. He's evolved as a scorer. But I think what JJ talked about is right. He's got to be more aggressive getting downhill. Early on in the game, transition 3-on-2 opportunity, he stopped and shot a 3. 6'8", 6'9". You got to put pressure on the rim, draw the defenses, and kick, because the Warriors are always loading up against you.
But doesn't the aggression lead to turnovers, and that was part of the problem last night?
Well, some of that is the Warriors scrambling defense, and some of it is driving without a plan. And Jaylen Brown had one of those plays in the first half where he did his 1-2 Euro. He got up off of 1 foot, nowhere to go, good defense, and he threw it away. With Tatum, Jeff Van Gundy brought this up on the broadcast last night. I thought it was important. There's too many times where he has a size advantage on a switch, and he's using that James Harden rip through to try to draw fouls when he gets closer to the basket. He needs to just shoot over the top and just score and keep the game simple. I think he gets himself into trouble sometimes in trying to draw fouls, and then all of a sudden a wild shot, or then he's got to pass late and it's a turnover.
See, I think this is interesting. You're talking about him being a little bit more aggressive. You're also talking about
I think it's this. I think it's more thinking the game.
Okay.
I think it's look, every player has to be aggressive. CJ, when CJ steps on the court, he's got to be aggressive. But it's the thinking the game part where we've seen great growth there, and we've seen an evolution there. Game 1 is a great example of that. His shot selection was great. He just shot poor. He was excellent as a playmaker in Game 1. To me, that's the part of his game where, he's a top 8 player to me right now. If he wants to be a top 5, top 4 player, that's the part. It's that LeBron James every possession thinking